Reisenbach Philanthropies would like to thank the following underwriters. Our presenting underwriter, Paramount Global. Our producing underwriters, Disney, IPG Media Brands, Omnicom Media Group, Warner Brothers Discovery.
What makes a city great? Is it buildings that reach to the clouds? Arenas that thunder with cheers? Parades that stir the soul and delight the young? Or is it our arts and culture that inspires the whole world? It's all of that, but it's more than that. The greatness of New York is New Yorkers. For 32 years, Reisenbach Philanthropies has reached out to all New Yorkers. To our first responders, to our next generation eager to learn, to those in need of shelter, to neighborhoods being reborn, to gardens sprouting where empty lots once lay, New Yorkers helping other New Yorkers, making the place that's been called the greatest city in the world even greater. For Reisenbach Philanthropies, our mission has always been about one thing: a better and safer New York for all New Yorkers. Hello, New York. I'm Radina Russell, and I'm proud to be on the board of Reisenbach Philanthropies. For more than 30 years, we have committed ourselves to 3 core principles: helping young people learn and thrive in safety, answering the call for something as basic as a roof over your head, and ensuring public safety and equal justice for all New Yorkers. Our focus is twofold. First, to accelerate the impact of well-established nonprofits in launching new programs. And second, to amplify the impact of new, promising nonprofits ready to take off to the next level. The stories you'll see in this year's edition of Dear New York focus on our class of 2024, in the schools, in neighborhoods, and in the halls of justice. They are our best hope for the bright future of the greatest city in the world. We live in a time where basic literacy is a prerequisite for making your way in the world. Study after study has shown that having access to books in childhood is one of the surest guarantees to lifelong learning. Yet, for families trying to provide the basic necessities of life, books are often unaffordable. To make matters more difficult, many of New York City's public libraries have closed or drastically cut their hours. It's hard to water the tree of knowledge when you live in a book desert. Over the last 5 years, Brooklyn Book Bodega has distributed hundreds of thousands of books to young readers. The price of these books is completely free. Their value to young lives is priceless.
Brooklyn Book Bodega is an open community, and there's a space for everyone here.
Brooklyn Book Bodega is here to try to make sure that all kids, regardless of their family's social circumstances, have access to books that they want to read.
Brooklyn Book Bodega was inspired by Rebecca Cohen and I, and we saw in our own kids' school how there was such disparities in kids' reading levels, in book ownership, and realized that in such a diverse community that we live in, that all kids should have access to reading and to books in their home, and together we can build lifelong readers.
A few friends that I have, they're not necessarily able to buy books themselves. So when they'll see like a free book thing, they'll be like, oh my gosh, I really want to go. I don't have any books, I have like 4.
Once you got to like about 80, 100 books, there was then a correlation to better life outcomes. Last year, we gave out our books in 48 of the 51 city council districts. Since our founding 5 years ago, we've given out over 400,000 books to over 125,000 New Yorkers.
Books can be windows and mirrors, so by a mirror, they can see themselves in books. As a window, you would want to be able to learn about other cultures, other places, other scientific facts, and that just then helps lifelong learning.
My name is Bianca Turetsky, and I'm the author of the Time Traveling Fashionista series. I've been working with the Brooklyn Book Bodega for 4 or 5 years now, and I've been a volunteer with them, and I've been leading creative writing workshops in conjunction with the giveaways. There shouldn't be any book deserts in New York City. We're in a time when the mental health crisis for kids is overwhelming, the COVID learning loss. This is a more important time than ever to get books into as many kids' homes as possible.
So the books are coming from a variety of sources. We have community drop sites where families can drop their books in. We have families hosting book drives for us, collecting hundreds and hundreds of books. We also get books through publishers, bookstores, and authors who donate copies to us.
Reading isn't everything. Reading is math, reading is science, reading is history. So it's very important for me to get them interested in reading.
Because of our work with Reisenbach Philanthropies, we were able to pilot our newest family program. Today's event is called I Love My Bodega. Amy was our presenter.
It says, chasing after me. Can you do it? Chasing after me. I was talking more about how to involve movement into reading and really making a book come alive. The more books that you get from the Brooklyn Book Bodega, then the more opportunities for developing language and vocabulary and just connections and conversation.
The through line is that they are looking to build their home library, and Brooklyn Book Bodega is providing 100 books at the end of this 10 workshop series.
One of our big programs is our big book parties. Those are opportunity for community to get together, right, where the New Yorkers are, whether that's a park or a farmer's market. And so really wanting people to find books together. We also have community days here in our book hub where we invite New Yorkers, all walks of life, to get books to fill their home libraries.
Welcome, come on in. So this is Community Day at the Book Hub, and it's kind of just a free-for-all.
Take as many books as you can carry, and people show up with suitcases, so they're coming for themselves, they're coming for their family, they're coming as an educator.
I'm a K-2 special education teacher, and today I'm here at the Book Bodega to get books for my little ones. They are fascinated about reading, they love pictures, and they love picture books. At the beginning of last school year, I purchased a few books, and they were like $9.99 each, $13.99. And so to actually be here and see some of the same books hardcover, this is absolutely amazing.
Each time I come, I'll grab 500, 400, 200 books to fill up the library. Brooklyn Bodega has provided all the resources, everything we need to get a first step and to be able to engage them with books. I wish Brooklyn Bodega was around when I was growing up.
Reisenbach Philanthropies talks a lot about a better, safer New York. Brooklyn Book Bodega believes that you can take a lot of preventative measures to create that better, safer New York. One preventative measure is education. We want more lifelong readers, so not only for that individual, right, but for all of us.
Hello, I'm Maurice Dubois.
And I'm Christine Johnson from CBS News New York. Here's an amazing fact about Brooklyn Book Bodega. Last year, they gave out nearly 150,000 books to young students.
Literacy and a love of books are indispensable for success in the modern world. And a grant from Reisenbach Philanthropies is putting books in the hands of New York kids whose families cannot afford them. And
you can help Reisenbach Philanthropies continue its commitment to lifelong learning. Please contribute online at dearny.org.
When a young person gets caught up in the juvenile justice system, prison doesn't have to be the answer. Too often, though, it turns into one strike and you're out. Young New Yorkers is a nonprofit that gives first-time offenders a second chance by tapping into the creativity that each of us is born with. Nearly 1,500 New York kids, all in their susceptible teenage years, have been taken off the conveyor belt to incarceration. Reisenbach Philanthropies is funding a unique diversion program at a former public school in Queens, the Museum of Modern Art's PS1.
So Young New Yorkers keeps kids out of jail. That's basically what we do. We use art to keep kids out of jail. So if a young person is referred to us between the ages of 12 to 25, we use art to help them get their case dismissed, and if they can go on about their lives without having to worry about a criminal charge.
Me and one of my friends were, hanging out, doing stuff that we probably shouldn't have been. We were, drawing on walls and stuff like that.
They arrested me because I was spray painting and they caught me.
I remember just somebody coming in and asking me if I had ever been in trouble before, make sure I was gonna get back home. Nobody had the authority to come speak to me and tell me it was okay, except for Young New Yorkers.
Because I want to combine them some sort of way, because they're all related.
When we look at diversion programs, these tend to be very low-level offenses. And also these low-level offenses, if they're not dealt with appropriately, can be a gateway for more crime.
And those crimes range from low-level misdemeanors that include trespassing, graffiti, right, criminal trespassing. Usually there's no victim involved, so there's no victim-involved crimes, even for the low-level felonies.
I mean, getting arrested for graffiti, for example, it's self-explanatory. Somebody likes to draw, just in the wrong places and times.
When artists come from Young New Yorkers and they've been arrested for the crime of art, right? The crime of creating graffiti, rather than shy away from that, I want to embrace the fact that they already are artists.
This is the bathroom at the precinct, and these little dots are all of my beads, and they went scattering all over the bathroom floor.
The eyes just seeing, it's just watching.
The danger of a single story is a larger concept that we were heavily influenced by Chimamanda Ngozi.
The single story creates stereotypes. And the problem with stereotypes is not that they are untrue, but that they are incomplete. They make one story become the only story.
There isn't a single story about these young folks. The danger of the single story is that they're beyond that one crime.
You said watercolors, so I would just use watercolors. Paint it red. Paint it red.
We want to help our young participants dive a little bit deeper, how they see themselves in the future, and how they can visualize that.
I turned something bad into good, came here, it's really nice.
When somebody graduates from the program, so they're finishing with their 5 weeks, they have an open house, and they present the work that they did here.
It was so distressing.
Yeah, I can see it, in your smile,
I've called people 1 month later, maybe 3 months later, now we're almost a year later. No one has been rearrested, so I think this is a success story.
I was arrested and charged with a misdemeanor, low-level misdemeanor at 19 years old. We didn't have diversion programs out in California. And even into my adult life, so going through law school, having to always say, I have that in my background. So having a diversion option is great for our young people because they have that option to get their case dismissed and get their case sealed.
I do feel like I learned my lesson a little bit, but I'm still gonna advocate for art, and I think that's how Young New Yorkers helped me to do that.
These diversion programs do something that the court system cannot do. This immediately requires them to deal with the consequences of their action, and I believe that they keep us safe by doing this work.
I ran into one of the participants from last year. He came with 6 or 7 of his friends. That goes beyond data or anything quantitative, but to see someone who maybe didn't really think about themselves as an artist before this program, I think that's a huge win.
Because of our work with Rising Back Philanthropies, we can now serve the Queens community and offer young people who are charged with eligible misdemeanors and felonies in Queens opportunities to have their cases dismissed, opportunities to have their cases sealed, and also exposure to art.
I'm grateful to organizations like Rising Back who have put in their own dollars to make this program available. The court system is overburdened, so we need the nonprofits and philanthropy to step in.
I want to keep doing art. I would never see myself like that. But coming here, it's really changed that.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bill Ritter from Channel 7 Eyewitness News. What an inspiring story, right? Giving a young person a second chance It can be so important as they go through life. Even a minor infraction on your record can be a tough hurdle, especially when you apply for college admission or a job or a mortgage or fill in the blank. Your donation will help Reisenbach Philanthropies seek out and support this kind of innovative grassroots program. To contribute online, go to dearny.org.
In 1990, a wonderful young man, John Reisenbach, lost his life in a random act of gun violence. His family and friends vowed that his legacy would live on. For more than 3 decades, our grants have directly benefited tens of thousands of New Yorkers. Most of them are in communities underserved in terms of education, housing, cultural resources, wholesome food, and public safety. In a crowded environment of many nonprofits competing for resources, Reisenbach has sought out new grassroots organizations that address critical needs. Our involvement doesn't stop with writing a check. That's just the beginning. Every nonprofit is unique. The programs we have created help to manage resources, handle logistics, and get their message out across the spectrum of communications. This is especially important in the rapidly evolving world of social media. You can join our effort by contributing online at dearny.org.
Hello, I'm Hazel Sanchez from Pix 11. Thanks so much for tuning in to this year's presentation of Dear New York from Reisenbach Philanthropies. This year and every year, Reisenbach seeks out grassroots programs in all 5 boroughs to help them toward our goal of a better and safer New York, to help the young as they get started in life, to build strong local communities, and to ensure security and equal justice for all of us. Please contribute online at dearny.org.
De La Salle Academy is a shining example of how promising students can get a running start on their path to success in life. Students come from all over the city to De La Salle's campus just off Times Square. The 2024 Reisenbach Grant puts special focus on 7th and 8th graders. They are going through the complicated transition from childhood to their first steps as fully formed personalities. Our grant provides emotional support to the students you are about to meet as they navigate their way through the roller coaster ride of adolescence.
My name is Rachel Fuzz-Bodway. I'm in the 8th grade. Good morning. Good morning. At De La Salle Academy. Good morning.
We are a middle school that serves 140 students from across all 5 boroughs, and we've been here since 1984. De La Salle Academy provides access and opportunity to low-income, low-wealth families.
We're not a neighborhood school. We are a school that attracts the most talented kids we can find from all over the city.
I'm from Queens. I live in the Bronx. I live in Brooklyn.
For De La Salle Academy, 100% of our students graduate high school, and 98% of them graduate college. Over 12 different languages are spoken by our families and students. Many of our families are first-generation Americans, and as a result, the student population here is one that comes from all across the world.
Buenos días.
Middle school is the place where we ask the most fundamental questions. We ask, who am I? What is my place in this society? And the De La Salle curriculum really tries to lean into those questions and takes middle schoolers seriously to answer those questions.
Those are the years when you develop your sense of self. I think you start to realize that based on what you do, you can make people around you better or worse off.
De La Salle in general has taught me so many core values that I will definitely keep in mind for the rest of my life. And honestly, these past 3 years have just been such an inspiring and changing time.
I see my children's life transform out in public speaking, in academics, in every area, in confidence that they have in themselves.
You know, the 2 animating pieces here. One is this ability to relate well to others, but especially to adults, but also to have this sense of intellectual curiosity really sparked.
Ms. Jenkins is very cool.
At De La Salle, we often say that the school is only as good as its faculty.
Good morning, folks.
And for us, that means that you have folks that deeply care about the mission. In the most amazing cases, they come back and teach or lead at the school. And as one of those people, I think for me, it was about being able to come back and pay forward the love, the care, the community that I experienced here, but also looking for ways that the school could evolve and grow.
I think that each and every single administrator, teacher, staff has helped me and changed me to be who I am.
The best part about De La Salle is, I'd say the community.
An amazing community. A really big community.
We were accountable to each other as a community, and that certain behaviors were never acceptable.
De La Salle is definitely a place where if you're seeking to find better or seeking to find change, here is definitely a place you should go.
De La Salle is a need-blind admissions process.
A need-blind admission is essentially the concept that the school will never turn away a student, will never turn away a family because of their inability to pay the tuition.
There are families here who have very little, right? And so for every family, we calculate what is within their ability to pay, right? After they've taken care of their necessities. Our parents' contributions to the school only account for about 8% of our revenue. We have to really raise 90 to 92% of it every year. So the generosity of all these different foundations, organizations, like Reisenbach, is essential to the work of De La Salle. Because of Reisenbach, we were able to receive support for our school counselor to be able to run additional support groups for the school. Reisenbach was able to really help our school counselor envision and new ways that we could design support groups to reach more children at this school, not just for this year, but for the long term.
I remember my own experience years ago in having a support group. It was a crucial space just to be able to talk about what's happening in your life.
Especially with our counselor, they do help us a lot with like our problems such as like mental health or like not being able to keep up with schoolwork.
The support for the work like in our school counseling is essential, especially after a worldwide pandemic.
We're at this key inflection point where we really have to figure out how to keep this school going for the next several decades and how to make sure that we preserve this special sauce, this special culture, this special DNA, and really trying to build for the long term.
Every dollar that's received here really goes towards that work of making sure that an independent school education, one that it challenges the kids' minds and hearts, is available to the city, right, and to kids from across different zip codes. And so Reisenbach was instrumental in that work.
Thank you, De La Salle Academy. I'll see you tomorrow.
Hello, I'm Natasha Verma from Fox 5. How cool is that when a student gets the chance to study at a top-tier school and eventually becomes its headmaster? Reisenbach Philanthropy's targeted grants and programs are reaching New York City's youth in the critical years when their grown-up personality starts to blossom. You can help Reisenbach Philanthropy's commitment to education everywhere in our city. To join in this effort, please contribute online at dearny.org.
On behalf of Reisenbach Philanthropies, thank you for joining us for these inspiring stories of the next generation of New Yorkers. In the long run, what keeps a city great is preparing young people to take the reins. You've seen stories of broad-ranging efforts to ensure basic literacy for every young person, educational opportunities for promising students no matter what community they come from, and a chance to get back on track for good kids overcoming life's challenges. Today, we've met just 3 of the many organizations supported by our grants, our programs, and our dedicated volunteers. New York City has always been blessed with the resiliency of its people. Through the contributions of people like you, Reisenbach Philanthropies is dedicated to nurturing this generation and generations to come in building a brighter future for a better and safer New York. Please join our effort by contributing online at dearny.org.
I am honored, and my son would be honored. I'm honored that this organization was created in his name. I have a personal belief in life is that you can turn anything bad into something good. There's got to be 2 sides to every coin. And while nothing can replace my son, this foundation, his death has turned into something good for many other fathers and mothers and children. Isn't that something?
Reisenbach Philanthropies would like to thank the following underwriters. Our presenting underwriter, Paramount Global. Our producing underwriters, Disney, IPG Media Brands, Omnicom Media Group, Warner Brothers Discovery, and our gold level underwriters,